Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your Congressman Frank, the third most popular candidate ever to run. We are back. We are bad. Better than ever. Here we are. Along with me is...
What's up, Planet Earth? I'm Charlie.
Charlie the Bean. Welcome back. Frank's in the Beans. Well, it's been a weird week. Ends up things have been happening, but we were talking about it like this week. Like, what the fuck happened this week?
Yeah, I think things are still awkwardly the same.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of that. Like, a lot of the news is like updates about, whether it's Joe Biden and all his corruption, and be like, I didn't do nothing, and then people are like, well, we got another person that says you did. It's like, well, we found some money here, and it's like, nah. And but there has been some okay. Did you hear about the guy in Utah that was taken out? So, all right, there's this old dude in Utah. I don't want to mess this up. Let me pull up what the dude's name is. Basically, this dude in Utah was wilding out on the internet, right? So, not at the gun shop, he didn't have a yard full of targets and arms and things like that, but he was wilding out on the internet, as one does. Craig Robertson. So he was facing 3 federal charges, including threats against the president, as well as influencing, impeding, and retaliating against federal law enforcement officers by threat. What was that, 2 charges? And he owns a sniper rifle, quote unquote, and several other firearms. So this is what... So right before... So Biden was going to Utah, right? And so... I guess he had done some threats in the past, but in all caps, I hear Biden is coming to Utah, one threat read, digging out my old ghillie suit and cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle. Welcome, buffoon in chief. So, I mean, obviously you can't do that.
That's pretty detailed.
Yeah, and so, let's see. And then on, is this a different one? On a post on Monday... Is that... I don't know. Hey, FBI, you still monitoring my social media? Checking so I can be sure to have a loaded gun handy in case you drop by again. So basically what happened is this guy... Wait, let me see his age. I keep forgetting if he's 70-something or 80-something. I think they're CNN. I got this article pulled up on CNN that I think is purposefully not mentioning the guy's age. All right, so let's just say... I'm going to say 73, but he might be older. But 73, because that's how old my dad is, so it feels like something my dad might do. But he basically was wilding out on the internet. It was just like, he said something like, I don't got too many years left. I'm going to take this guy out, do it for all of us.
Still got some fighting.
Oh, yeah. So the feds pay him a visit. They're just like, Mr. Robinson, we just wanted to talk to you about your online post for the FBI. He goes, you got a warrant? And then they said, no. He said, come back with a warrant, much like my doormat. And so they're like, oh, okay. So they leave. And then they do still monitor him, his posts. And then, of course, now the president is coming to Utah, and perfectly appropriate to check out the guy who's been making threats about killing the president in Utah. But instead of going like, boom, warrant, now we're going to talk to you, and we're going to raid your place, and we're going to talk to you for a while. Come on out. So you would think that's what one would do. Like, you need a warrant, here's your warrant. Like, we're going to talk to you, and we're going to search your whole place, see if you got a plan schemed up. Let's see that ghillie suit of yours. We're going to use that as evidence. We're gonna put you through the ringer now, buddy. That's normally what happens, if people care at all. Well, they could have done that. Instead, they did a raid on his house.
Unannounced?
Of course. Why would you announce it? We're about to storm this dude's house. And that post, like, I'll make sure I have a loaded gun ready. Well, I don't know if he did or not. They said he was armed when they went into his house. So inside of his house, he may have had a gun on him or a gun near him because it's his house. For example, right now, actually, I don't have any guns near me because I lost them all. there was a tragic accident, and I have no more guns anymore. So, so different situation. But no, so they stormed in there, and at some point after they entered, there was like a flashbang, but it seemed like the flashbang didn't line up, because like normally it's like open the door, throw in the flashbang,
And wait, yeah.
and then you go in 2 seconds later or something like that.
Yeah.
But this was like, it looked, and the footage isn't great, it's like a neighbor's footage, but it looks like they go in, and then flashbang comes out for some reason. I don't know what that's all about. Hopefully we'll find out at some point and get some answers, but yeah, he's armed, he's dead. So in the aftermath, people are walking around saying like, oh, let's talk to the neighbors, you know? Like, let's find out about this lunatic threatening the president. Everyone goes, he was just the sweetest guy I've ever met.
Of course he was.
And like they're like, I didn't know he said that stuff online. That's kind of messed up, but no, I don't know. He was just the sweetest guy. And they're like, I really worry about his son more than anything.
We just lost you on signal somehow.
Okay, let's pause. Sure, look back. All right, are we back?
We are back. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. My camera decided it didn't want to look at my stupid face anymore. But yeah, like one of the neighbors, like, who I worry about the most is his son. He has an adult son, because he's 70s. He's an adult son who's blind, who just had a stroke, and who he was the primary caregiver for. So, he's not around to do that anymore. And then like they're, what else can you tell me about him? It's like, well, he's real dedicated to his church. He was basically like the right hand man of the preacher man. He'd go to church. I forget what, maybe, or the bishop or something. But he'd go to church often, and he would help with stuff. He was just there at church, active. I think they said helping the bishop. So kind of like a volunteer deacon, which I only know because I looked up what a deacon was today. Because when I mentioned the story earlier, Rachel was like a deacon? I was like, I don't actually know what a deacon is.
I don't either.
Yeah, she's like, I think it's a helper. I was like, I always thought it was a clergy person. Ends up, it's a clergy person who's not yet a priest in the Catholic religion. So, like, you're kind of an apprenticeship, but you're ordained.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was like a not ordained deacon in not Catholic church. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So it's like, all right. So this dude is old, an old veteran, who is like full-time support of a blind stroke victim son who spends his free time helping at the church and says some crazy shit on the internet. It's like, so that's the picture we're painting? It's like, yep. Do you think he's capable of putting on a ghillie suit and like besting the Secret Service and hitting them with the sniper rifle and all that? And it's like, I mean, clearly not. Like, and so that became, because when he got shot, people were like, oh, threaten the president, and things happen. But it's like, well, I do remember. What is her name? What's the redheaded comedian that used to do New Year's with Anderson Cooper? She had a show, My Life on the D List, or something like that.
I cannot remember.
You know who I'm talking
I
about.
know. I can picture her though.
Yeah. Kathy Griffin.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Kathy Griffin, she came out with like a Donald Trump head that she
Yes.
carried. Remember? I
Yes.
think she got in some trouble, but not really.
Yeah.
And then like Johnny Depp at some point was just like, well, John Wilkes Booth was an actor, and he took out a president. And maybe we need another Booth. And so no one went and like shot Johnny Depp in the face, And there's all sorts of people talking about killing Trump. I mean, everybody. I mean, fuck, The View, I think, was talking about killing Trump, And so it's like, all right, well, none of those are actionable threats, I would say. You talk to them, the Secret Service swings by and goes, hey, we heard you talking about that kind of stuff, and we might want to investigate you. And then you go, maybe I ran my mouth a little bit too much. I'm sorry. I wasn't taking it that seriously. Clearly you guys are. This is my mistake, I mean, that's what you do with this stuff. And even with this guy, if you wanted to, I mean, you can make his life hell for a decade. Like, I mean, if you, like, just went through all of his stuff, made him wait in the car, brought him back to a jail or to a federal building or something, and then just like asked him questions, grilled him, wait for the lawyer, okay, you can go. But it's just like now you have an active federal case against you. Well, now you got to hire a lawyer. And like, they'll either rush it or they'll slow play it and just drain you, and not great. That's a big punishment, and but for whatever reason, they investigated the guy. They went to see him. They saw him in person at his house. They investigated the guy. They got the warrant, and then they were just like, we're not going to arrest him at his house. We're not going to arrest him when he's leaving his house to the grocery store, because this is not a compound. This is a house. And he is man, and man eat food. And he takes care of another man who also eats food. And so, like, he's going to go to the grocery store. He's going to go to the gas station. He's going to, I don't know where else he's going to go, but at least those two things he's going to. Oh, he's going to go to church. And so, a couple times a week, I believe. And so, like, they didn't wait for him to walk to his car and go, all right, we got the cuffs. Here's a warrant for your arrest. You're coming with us. We're about to make your life hell, sweetheart. How's this for a warrant, Like, they could have been jerks about it. Like, came back with a warrant, Brick, But they didn't do that. They didn't go to the church, talk to that bishop guy and go, listen, we're about to arrest this guy. He's been making all these threats. We think he's violent. We think he's going to try to kill the president. And we're going to arrest him. We would just like to, maybe you can tell him to come peacefully and calmly. We'd appreciate that. That clergy guy might be like, what? He'll be fine. Hey, man, you need to come just work this all out. Like, there's so many ways that this didn't have to be a raid on a house that ended in killing somebody. But that's how it ended. So that's, and it's, I'm kind of excited, not by his death or his poor son's future. But I feel like the FBI is like just shooting themselves in the foot. And the distrust, especially I think on the right wing, the distrust is growing like just huge. And I think that hopefully it still exists on the left wing. I know when you get to like elected type people, like I don't know, like a Pelosi type or whatever, they're going to, FBI is so good and all this stuff. And especially the more they're going after like Trump people. Well, FBI is great. But hopefully normal Democrats still don't trust them, because up until a couple of years ago, most left-wingers didn't have a huge amount of faith that the FBI wasn't, I don't know, setting up 18-year-old brown kids as terrorists and then like entrapping them and sending them to Guantanamo Bay and things like that, because they were. So if the distrust can grow, where like this primary election, like DeSantis is running on kind of a fire. We got to fix it, but we got to just fire tons of people. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's a third place guy right now, he's just like, look, he's like, if I'm supposed to be the chief executive and they answer to me, if they're not doing their job, you're fired. He's like, I don't want to hear belly aching about it. Is it my power? It's my power. You're fired. Dude's only like 38. Yeah, and he's made lots of money. He like makes a business, sells a business, and he used to consider himself a libertarian. Now he says he's not. It's okay. I haven't heard all of his positions, but I like his firing people position. I love that position. I just like a guy I like entrepreneurs. I know Trump is technically kind of, but he did start with a golden spoon. Like, it's not, when you start off with like a building in Manhattan or building in wherever it was, Queens or something, and he's just like, well, can I borrow $1 million so I can move into Manhattan real estate? And your dad says, yeah, here's $1 million. It's not exactly self-made. I mean, he did expand into Manhattan, and he turned the money into lots of money. He did. He also somehow went bankrupt with the casino. I don't know how one does that. It seems like if you want a business where you don't lose money, casino, especially in a casino town. It wasn't like in Idaho. It was in Atlantic City. And it's like if you're the Trump name in the casinos closest to the city, how does it go wrong? I don't know the answer.
Right.
But it did. So
The House definitely should win.
yes, the House should win, and people should be flocking to it because the Trump is gold. Especially like New York and stuff. Like in that era in the like 80s and all that crud. Maybe the mob. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the mob squeezed him out, but Trump seems like the guy that would just pay the mob. Let's get this thing going. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, Ramaswamy, I think, is a very interesting cat. I'm not sold on him by any means, and I still think there's some libertarians that'll be better candidates. But still, as far as being a Republican, he's an interesting one, kind of like RFK is interesting for a Democrat, But yeah, so they're talking about firing FBI people. They're hedging and they're not saying in the FBI, but really in the FBI. Like we got state police, we have city police, we have county sheriffs, we have computers. Like I get it when when Al Capone could drive from Illinois to Missouri or something. It's just like, haha, you'll never catch me now, or all the bank robbers that would just like go through the whole country and, as soon as they're almost caught, they'd be like, skirt with their V8 and get to over state lines. Like, haha. It's like, if only we had a way to talk to the neighboring police departments, But we have that now. It's functioning. And we've militarized our police. They have tanks and all, that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I just feel like the FBI is unnecessary. Maybe if I think federal DOJ, someone breaks the law in a bunch of states, you want to bring a federal case? You can bring a federal case. And you collect the data from that state, and as a investigator for the DOJ for that case, you just accumulate it all and go, well, it went over state lines. Now it's federal. Okay. But yeah, that's in the FBI. And if they can keep doing stuff like this, like their trust becomes so low, like all the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden criminal stuff that kind of been letting slide, all the weird. I mean, at this point, you can just say they were just BS attacks on Trump. Like Trump has lots of flaws, and he was in real estate developing in New York in like the 80s. Like, I'm sure there's something there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they haven't found anything,
right.
Because like you got that's John Gotti's around. You got cocaine's around. I don't know. It's the 80s in New York and real estate development. Like, you can find something, But to do like BS investigation, BS charges, the Hunter laptop by all the intelligence officials that was, well, this looks like Russian disinformation. And it's like, okay. So like they're just like they're trying to bluff their way through things and just kind of just charge through, but it's ruining trust. It's ruining trust in them as an institution. And the more they do it, the louder we just have to say, why don't we just get rid of them? Just get rid of them. J. Edgar Hoover was corrupt. He just liked to wear ladies' clothes, and he didn't want anybody to know about it. And now we do, Jay. But did you see that J. Edgar Hoover movie with DiCaprio?
I remember hearing that he got the role and he was going to dive right into it. And
it was okay. The movie was okay. I mean, it was. I think I saw it a few years ago. I think they portrayed him as gay. But I don't know if they did the cross-dressing thing. But I do think they did that. But for a movie with DiCaprio in it, the prosthetics, horrible.
Really?
Horrible. You think you got Leonardo DiCaprio, you get a top-flight makeup person. Like whoever it is, like the best. You get the best. We got a movie with the lead's DiCaprio, and I don't remember who directed it, but, big topic. But when he was like older, J. Edgar Hoover, it just looks stupid, which sucks. Because it really it looked bad enough that it took away from the scenes. It took away when you're looking at it, you're just like
bad CGI,
like bad CGI, like anything like that. Yeah, we're just like I don't you know, I'm not in the moment because I'm looking at your stupid wrinkles and your fake face, you know. But you know, Hoover, I mean, the FBI was just his dirt digging, like his power, you know, and he kept power, and he decided to get dirt on every elected official. Just get dirt on everybody ever. Get dirt on all the people. And that way, if anybody wanted to say, we think your budget's too big, or we saw you in that dress walking down the street, something like that, it's like, oh yeah? They go, you know what? I didn't see anything, and your budget is too small. How about some money? All right. But yeah, get rid of it. What do you got?
Yeah, it almost seems like a lot of the FBI operations as of late are just budget justifications. Like, hey, keep us fueled with cash, and we'll keep digging up garbage.
Yeah, I mean, well, that actually reminds me. I didn't even pull this up, but that reminds me of something that did come out about the whole Biden crud. So remember how we were talking about how Hunter was painting to not launder money after he got stopped from just getting handed cash from Russia and China and Ukraine. And they're like, hey, you can't do that anymore because they're on to us. He goes, okay, I'm an artist now. Not only am I an artist, I'm a first-time artist, and my paintings fetch $500,000 a piece. That painting over your shoulder, I don't know, is it in frame? Oh, I guess it's not frame. See that painting?
Yep.
That's a good. I like that painting.
That's great.
It's a young guy. Eye bombs, like eye bombs. Jabari Reed, but did not cost $500,000.
Right.
And like over here, that's just a print, you know. But old Jason Skeleton. But even the painting, not $500,000, you know. And I have other things in this house, also not $500,000. And like some, you know, great artists, Roger Shimamura and some of these cats. I have, just to brag, Roger Shimamura has this print series called the Minidoka Snapshots. It's at the one in the living room, all the small kind of, 6 of them.
Yep.
And it's he is American, but of Japanese descent, and I don't remember if his parents were born in America or not, but I think his parents were. But he was, as a young child, relocated to the Minidoka prison camps by FDR during World War II. So a chunk of his childhood was raised in a prison camp by his government, you know. And so a lot of his artwork talks about kind of being an American, but kind of being an other, you know, all that. But so the Minidoka Snapshots are in the Library of Congress.
Oh, cool.
But I've got the printer's proof, which makes it even more rare than Library of Congress.
Nice.
Take that, government. Why was I bringing it up? Oh, yeah, because
Hunter's a better artist, clearly.
yeah, financially speaking, this is worth more. So anyway, so he wasn't laundering money. And they said, well, he doesn't even know. It goes to the gallery. He doesn't even know who the customers are, which, you know, as someone who does this, like, yeah, you don't tell the artist, but if the artist goes, well, I just want to know, is it, you know, any cool collections I can put on my resume? You reach out to the customer, you go, hey, do you mind if so-and-so knows and lists that, you know, like my artwork is part of, because that's what young artists do that especially, where like, you know, part of the so-and-so collection, whatever, you know, it can add prestige. And so, you know, that's always possible. But anyway, one of the purchasers was a big donor to Papa Joe.
No.
Believe it or not. Believe it or not. But it gets better. When did I go out again?
Just now.
All right. I don't know what's happening. The camera hates me. We're on though? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so big donor, right? So not only is it a big donor, but there's this department. I might have to look it up real quick. There's a department in the government that is kind of a BS role. But it's sorry, I know that's shocking. That's shocking. Charlie's falling out over here. But it's this BS department that does like nothing. I think you're supposed to be like a global liaison or something. I'm gonna hold on. I want to find the name.
That whole title liaison kills me.
Oh sure. Let's see, Hunter
Justified position.
Yeah, art corrupt department.
Oh.
So anyway, there's this department, and it's only has two. This is not what I want at all. Okay, whatever. Oh, here it is. Government job handed to it. Okay, so it's a federal commission. Where is it called? Pop-ups. Pop-ups. All right. Pop-ups. Pointed to by President, the Commission for the Preservation of American Heritage Abroad. The Commission for the Preservation of America's heritage abroad. So that's this job. It's federally paid. It's a 6-figure job, and basically you're the director of it, and you have an assistant, and you go around. So the problem is, people always use it. It's like, so you make 150 grand or whatever, and you got a person that works as an administrative assistant. It's considered. I think it's considered a part-time job even with that salary.
It's a 2-person department?
2-part commission.
I'm sorry, commission.
Yep, just 2 people to preserve America's heritage
Okay.
abroad. But yeah, so you get bit. But the thing is, like, over the years, it has been very corrupt. People have used it to build, like, say you're into banking or investments. Well, now you get to go to Saudi Arabia, and you're not Charlie, investment king of St. Pete. You are the government. You're a government liaison. You're executive of the Commission for America's Heritage Abroad. Also, you're great with investments. And so you go and you meet, and you're just like, hey, look, I want to meet in official capacity, talk about our heritage abroad, and just, squeeze by. By the way, I got this fund. I got this fund, 15% returns. Just saying. Anyway, so that's how people have used it a lot to build whatever the business is. In some cases, they've had like a lobbying firm where it's just like, there's one cat who had a lobbying firm, like he was a lobbyist, and he would his assistant or his admin ended up whistleblowing on him because it's like, look, he doesn't even do the whatever it is 1 day a week or whatever. Like, he uses his federal office for his lobbying company. Yeah, and then he goes to visit people, and he's like, hey, I should be your lobbyist. Why? I'm already in the government. Who's better to lobby on your part for the government? And then, you do all your kind of corrupt stuff, and you just stack money to the ceiling. And I think it was the same guy, or maybe a couple of them, who would send in fake invoices where basically they would have, it'd be an individual or an independent contractor. So they'd set up a thing, and they'd be a contractor. They have this contractor over there, their relative or whatever, and they just submit all these phony invoices in order to make sure their commission used up all the budgeted funds, so that then they would get the same funds plus, the 2% or whatever that happens every year in baseline budgeting. And so anyway, one of the guys that bought the artwork from Hunter, who gave money heavily to old Joe, apparently in Hunter's emails, is that they asked him to be appointed to this historically corrupt commission, and he was. And so he got appointed to that. And so it's just, that was just a fun little thing. We've got this 2-person commission with some sort of crazy budget where you have to, like, fake invoices to spend all, like, you just can't spend all the money they budget for it. I mean, because theoretically you could just go all over the world, and I guess that's not enough. It's just not enough. So yeah, you mentioned all the government stuff like that. Remind me of
budget justification.
Yeah, but well, yeah, it's just like, not only are people spending whatever they want, justifying their budgets, doing whatever the hell. We got very important people appointed by the president for being friends, and they fake invoices to do it. I mean, they just do whatever they want. Just give me that money. And it's not like they get caught in real time. They get caught back when. At that point, the money's already spent. Whatever. Sorry. Sorry, you want the money back? I don't have it. Sorry. So that's a nice little twist. What was my other? So this is a fun. So Rand Paul reached out to U.S. attorney to probe Fauci. Basically, he's trying to get a federal investigation going into criminal charges for Fauci for lying to Congress. Here, just to read real quick from the Post, New York Post. Senator Rand Paul has asked top federal prosecutor for Washington, D.C. to investigate Dr. Anthony Fauci for allegedly lying to Congress about his knowledge of U.S.-funded coronavirus research in Wuhan. Paul requested U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves on Monday to consider charging Fauci for making false statements in May 2021 Senate testimony about government's grants for gain-of-function research in Wuhan labs. Goes on from there. But that would be fun. That'd be fun if Fauci's going to actually be like trotted up on criminal charges. I would love that.
Especially during the election coming up.
Yeah, I mean that might be a nice little rah-rah thing for those people. I don't know if Rand Paul's up for election. I'm gonna look that up. But how do you feel about old Fauci?
I kind of, as the COVID nonsense was getting more nonsensical,
Yeah.
I just kind of was like, okay, either what he's saying is true or what he's saying is absolutely complete bullshit.
Yeah, and that's it. And like at some point, because I was trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt at first, I never heard his name before. I didn't know anything about him. And like, I was like, all right, so his job was to give advice about health, people's health to the president. He's not supposed to focus on the economy. He's not supposed to focus on any other factor. It's not like, will this be good for the schools, well, he should be thinking about the children. But, it's just health. So I was like, well, dude's given that, So he goes, hey, I think we should lock things down forever. But it's not his call. It's the president's call, So Trump could have said, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. And he did say, the states will choose, But at first I give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, well, it's a pandemic. No one knows anything about it.
Right.
Except Fauci. But no one knows anything about it. It's brand new. Like, I don't know. This guy advises on health. There's another guy advising on the economy. You got to balance that out because obviously if people aren't eating, that's bad for their health. People don't have a job, that's bad for their health. So, I've tried to give him a break at first. But as it went on, like I am the science, it's just like, you're not. And there's no such thing as the science, And that was the other thing that was gross to me because, like, I don't know. I've seen science before. I've seen it. But, like, scientific method, it's like you have a question and you observe and you come up with a hypothesis and you test it and then you check out your results and maybe you modify, but you have more questions, observe, it's a cycle. And one great thing about the scientific method is the questions never stop. At some point you might be satisfied, but then maybe 10 years from now, you go, not so satisfied with that anymore. Like, let's do some more tests. Like, now I've got this other thought. Maybe it works like this. That's how science works.
Yep.
The gravity is a theory. Is it a theory? Wait, the gravity's still a theory, right? Or is it? It's not a law, is it? What is gravity? But it was something like that. Like, I think, like, scientifically, in those terms, I think it's still considered the theory of gravity. Let's say gravity. I might be talking out my butt on this one, but I feel like it's not a law.
But I mean, really, when you break down like the words that we choose to label, like the word theory or the word fact,
right?
It's just us.
But in terms of science, like law is like, by God, like we've tested.
Right.
This good, yeah.
Yeah, we've beaten it to death to the point where we can conclude that.
All right, I guess maybe it is a law now. This general physical law. Okay, I'm wrong. Um, but there's some, I forget. There's other things, but there are some things that like we accept that are day to day, that are still theories, even though they're like well tested, and like Einstein's theory of relativity. Scientists bust into it. Sometimes they're like, man, he's wrong about this. Like, busted apart. And then you see an article a few years later, like, well, actually, if you kept following that and kept digging into it, it's true again. And did you see this thing that happened? Nope, I think it's good again. But it's like, brilliant stuff from Albert Einstein. And it's just like, that's a theory. Question it. We're allowed to question Albert Einstein, but not Fauci.
I'm pretty sure that's why you pose it. Well, scientists pose these theories is so we are forced to question it.
It's just the process. That's the thing. There's no knock on anyone's intelligence. Right. I mean, maybe sometimes it is, but like, it's just, this is how it works. Here's a theory. We got to test it. We'll test it again. And, I think you're wrong, or I think you're right. And I would like to test that. But no, the more Fauci went out, and he was just like, no, it has to be done this way. You have to wear a cloth mask over your face. And it's just like, well, that's stupid. Like, there's doctors out there showing that using like vapes, they blast out of a mask, like a surgical mask, even not the mask we were using, the cotton mask. It's like a surgical mask. And he's like, look, watch all the vape go out this mask. Coronavirus is smaller than the vape particles. So, and maybe N95s. Okay, N95s. But like, I got little branded masks for the flower shop because I was forced. The county turned all idle inspectors into mask inspectors during coronavirus. Like, I had a guy come in, and at the time it's me and Al. It's two people in the shop, and neither one of us care about any of that. Alan's been going on the Keith Richards plan for health, and like, his whole thing is he's a cockroach, you can't kill him. And but then I'm sure I'll get there that way one day. But no, so I was sitting in my office, all of a sudden I heard the door open, so I put on my stupid mask, go outside. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And the guy goes, you passed. I was like, he's like, you got your. He's like, is anybody else here? I'm like, just me, man. He goes, I'm inspecting to make sure shop owners are wearing their masks, and you passed. Good job. I was like, all right, sounds good, And like, I got him because like there were so many scared customers that would come in if you didn't have their mask. And like, I mean, people really did get a little crazy about it. And like, even if you're putting it on when they came in, they was like, oh, okay. And like, someone came in without a mask, and I was like, or even with it below their nose. It's like, man, I don't care. Like, wear that if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine. But then another customer comes in and was just like, so I just decided, like, look, for now, for customer service, we want these people to buy flowers. Wear the damn mask when they come in. Take it off otherwise. I don't care, but you don't have to wear it all day. But those things don't do anything. They don't do anything. The cotton masks that we had, they don't do anything. And to like hammer that point so much, or it's just like, this is not scientific. This is emotional, and that's not your job. You're supposed to be a scientist, and you're like, well, people need to know that you're trying, and people need to see, everyone needs to try. It's like, so we got to pretend like we're being safe instead of, I don't know, doing it. So like, now we can stand close to each other because I got this BS bandana thing over my face. It's like, that's stupid. And it was stupid, and it's been proven to be stupid. And like,
especially it muffles your voice, and then it causes you to get closer to the person. And it's like, isn't this defeating the purpose?
I know, it was so bad for it. Like, I realized how much I rely on reading lips when people talk to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think my hearing's worse than I thought it was. And out in the arcade too, it's very echoey out there. Someone had a mask on talking. It's like, I got nothing. I got nothing.
I give up.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry. It's like, there's just too much. I can't. Okay. No, I had one time a very nice a friend. He's an older guy, and he has had like cancer concerns and stuff like that. But I was walking to go somewhere, and I just ran into him on the corner. And he's like, "Oh, you don't have your mask. I was like, I didn't expect to run into anybody I knew. I'm just running a quick errand, and it's in my office. I'm just running my truck or something like that, you know. But like, you know, I always had to explain myself. Or it's just like, I'm outside. I don't have a mask on because I'm outside, and it's outside. And like all stats we have so far says coronavirus goes like this, and it's dead outside. And so like, I don't know. Is it like I created a spreadsheet on daily corona stats that they released just because I was worried about. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to see BS information, so I'm gonna pull like raw stats and just copy and paste them in before they can be adjusted. And I kept that spreadsheet for a while. Probably still have it somewhere. And so like I was analyzing those stats. I was really like digging into. That was the other thing when during COVID stuff. Like I do your own research, and where that became something like, oh yeah, do your own research like a doctor. It's like what? There's data out there. You can read and analyze, and you can do your own research. I'm excellent at using like WebMD and things like that to diagnose stuff because I read it and I go, well, I don't have that. Oh, you know, because everybody, you're dying of cancer. Like a lot of people, oh, I'm dying of cancer. So it's not that. But, you know, if you read through the symptoms real carefully and you go, no, it's not a sharp pain. Or, you know, oh, well, no, I don't have that. You go, well, it can't be that. Can't be that. And you go, well, I think I'm somewhere in this range, you know, not to all of a sudden demand pills from a doctor or something. But you go, I think it's somewhere around here. Okay, now I know sort of where I'm aiming, what kind of doctor to see and what to say, you know, what to encourage tests for, what have you, you know. Like you can do research and so many studies, medical studies, you can read them. You can read the whole thing. Or you can skip and read the summaries, you know. But like there's a lot of information out there, and I had friends that would post on like Instagram or something about do your own research. If I reply, I'm like, there's actually a lot of stuff out there, and like studies are open source. You really can read them, and like there's a lot of good information in them. And they're like, oh no, I know. Like they go, oh, you're smart, you can do it. But no, I was talking about like, I don't know, just other people. And it's like, well, yeah. Once you personalized it to me, you go, well, you can do it. And you go, what about that person, maybe? And they might go, well, yeah, that person can do it. It's like, oh, what about that person? Like, well, of course that person. I'm just talking about, you know, they're talking about, you know, they just Trump supporters in their overalls without shirts on, just sitting there chewing on hay. So now I'm going to do my own research on this, is what I think they picture. But yeah, during all that, like Fauci, he showed himself to be a bad actor. And then once I realized that he was in charge during the AIDS crisis, when I learned that, remember how weird the AIDS crisis was? Like I was in Tennessee. Like, I was in Memphis when it really kicked off, like, when Magic Johnson got AIDS. What was it like in Florida when, like, all that happened? Like, you were in St. Pete. You were born in St. Pete.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the last thing that I remember was the utter disinformation of how people contracted it.
Tell me your perspective.
Oh, it was like, you couldn't touch people.
Yes,
I was like, what? How? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so it was like that there,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Because that was the perspective I got from, like, national stuff. But definitely in Memphis, like, because they would say anybody can get AIDS or HIV. You know, anybody can get HIV. Or, like, your neighbors might have it. Like, anybody can get it. And so you're, what the hell? Anybody can get HIV? And then when Magic Johnson got it, they were like, they didn't say, well, Magic slangs that thing and he tears through some ladies, and not all of them have been great ladies, you know. It wasn't just like, you know, wrap it up, fellas, because like, yeah, it might be hetero here, but you don't know where that girl's been, you know, and you don't know what she gets down with, especially when you collect them by the dozen, like a Magic Johnson probably did. I mean, something about Lakers. What was it? Was it Wilt Chamberlain? Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain. Like 100 points in a game, 100 ladies in a season. You know, it was just he didn't die of HIV or something, but like Wilt the Stilt, he put it down. And then was he a Laker? I know he was a. Was Wilt Chamberlain? Was he a Laker? Am I wrong on this?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I used to have this awesome picture that my dad had a buddy who was like a sports photographer. And so it was like an original print, like black and white photo of him like standing there, you know. But it was like during a game, like shot live and all that. So like I kept it for a while, and then when we moved out of that house, you know, when 16 or whatever, it ended up being in the wrong box and you know given away by accident. Yeah, Laker from 68 to 73. Okay, good. Yeah, Sixers. I had him. Yeah, when he was in the Sixers was the shot I had. But yeah, something about them big men on the Lakers. They just
Didn't they make people who contracted HIV wear masks too?
probably.
Yeah.
And because of spittle, and that was, and then but the only safe drug according to Fauci was this cancer drug that was horrific. It was horrific, and it killed people faster than AIDS. Like it killed. I think. Freddie Mercury. I think Freddie Mercury was given. I mean, everybody was given it that had HIV, and there was somebody. I feel like it was a doctor, but anyway, people complained about it, and all of a sudden it's just like people that are aware of their body. When you're like, oh, I have HIV, but I feel 100%. You go, well, you got to take this medicine and get rid of it, and suddenly they're just like, they're just dying slowly, right. And like some people together, like I think this medicine's worse than the disease. And now we got PrEP and all this other stuff where it's like now you can just live with HIV in perpetuity, which is great. Or you can be Magic Johnson and just get rid of it. Or that boxer, Tommy.
With money.
Yeah.
South Park said.
Yes. What was that boxer? Not Tommy. It's not Tommy Davidson, right? I know Tommy Davidson's the actor from Living Color, but was that the name of the boxer too? Do you remember the white boxer? He was I think he was a heavyweight. But he was part of that same era. He was not anywhere near a Tyson type or anything like that. It might have been when Tyson was in prison. And so I think it might have been when Mike Tyson was in prison. And so like people were looking for heavyweight, and there was this Tommy, I feel like it is Davidson. But he was a good boxer. You know, he was up there, championship bouts and all that kind of stuff. But then he came out HIV positive. And so, then it was just like a nut. You're like, oh, my God. Because, some people went racial with it. They're like, well, it's, the blacks and the Hispanics. And I was like, well, there's this white guy now.
Right.
And, but I think that guy, at some point, he tested clean for it. And, like, they're like, well, maybe it was a false positive all those years. Like, he kept getting these negative tests. And I think they were like, oh, I think that was a false positive. Which, like, how bad would that mess you up?
Right.
Like, you live years of your life going, just knocking on the doorstep of death, and I can't have a close physical relationship with anyone, or I'll kill them too, and like not blow your brains out, and then be like, "Oops, we probably ran the wrong test or something. I don't know. You're good.
You're fine.
You're fine." It's just like,
sorry about the last years of your life.
Yes, sorry about the hell that every moment of your life has been as you've struggled for human connection. So all that to say that, like, Fauci was saying the only safe thing to take was this horrible drug that would kill you, but he was also the one in charge of the messaging of it's not just drug users and gay men. It can be anybody, and people were afraid to like touch everybody, and gay people. Do you remember how people thought about gay people?
It was they were. I can't believe that I witnessed some of this stuff.
Well, people like, if you touch a gay person, you're going to die of AIDS.
Right.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That was just normal thought. Like you're like, ew, like that person's gay. If he sneezes near me, I'm going to die of AIDS. And like you hear adults saying these things, and kids, of course, but you're just like, kid going, is that how AIDS work? Like if we touch the wrong person, we die? If someone sneezes and we walk near it, we die? Is that something that's happening? Is that life?
Right.
Got 6 or something, And but that was all Fauci. Fauci, because he said, well, I didn't want to stigmatize any groups, It's like, right, but science-wise, would you say it's because of promiscuous male gay sex and, needle use in the drug community? Or those the 2 top drivers of this? Like, just statistically? And it's like, yeah, it's almost all of it. Almost all of it. And then the rest are people who then have sex with either the guy that's been having all the gay sex with all the dudes, or somebody who's either using drugs or fucking someone that's using drugs, you know. And so some of them are like, oh, the nice guy next door. It's like, yeah, but the nice guy next door has been on the down low, and he's been like, oh, honey, I gotta work late again, and then just, you know, going out for a good time. But no, like, but that was Fauci too. Fauci wrecked that, and like the homophobia that grew during that like that late 80s, 90s kind of thing. Like it took, I feel like it was in the late 90s when like people stopped associating like being gay with death, you know, or being a danger to you as a person, you know, or mid to like, I don't know. But it took a while, you know, and it's just one of those things. And Fauci didn't seem to, I've never heard him say, I regret my decisions. It was up public health and the science. So I think he's a bad guy. I think his ego is so high, like a lot of these doctors, you know, where it's just like his ego so much he thinks himself a god, and you know, you just you go along with him and you're the bad guy, and but along the way he'll just wreck lives. So I hope he does get brought up on criminal charges. That would be lovely. So those are the big things going on in my book. I spent the weekend, like I was telling you, it was in Apopka. There was Dirty Heads, Sublime with Rome, and Bone Thugs, and it was actually great. Bone Thugs, obviously I remember Bone Thugs coming out, and I listened to some of their stuff. I don't know all their stuff, but they did a great set. They had they did like little salutes to like a bunch of dead artists, you know. So they start with Eazy because you know that's who signed them. But it was like Eazy E, B.I.G., Tupac. They did this whole, and like they wouldn't do full songs. I'm thinking because of rights, but they kind of do something and go into one of their songs, and it was for not knowing that many songs of their stuff, it was a good show. And then
this is our first time back together, I think, right?
Is it?
Like I don't think they've toured in a while. Maybe I'm wrong.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think they've.
The way I found out about it is minus Bone Thugs was in Key West, and so like I got Rachel texted me. It was just like, God, this show's in Key West, and I was like, oh, that's a Wednesday, and it's like, oh, but Apopka's on a Saturday, and it's like, oh, well, that's very doable, and then Bone Thugs is part of it. I guess I should not say who, because I've not asked about talking about this, but I have a relative, and she went on a psilocybin retreat out in like Colorado or somewhere where it's legal,
Cool.
And it's one of these, you work on whatever. I think she was working on anxiety or one of those type of things. And but in the retreat, you have your bedroom. It's a private bedroom, but you share a bathroom with one other person. Her bathroom mate was Lazy Bone.
Really?
For real.
Cool.
So I got a text driving the kid to school. It's like 7:40 a.m. I'm pulling up at 62nd and 4th, and it's like, have you know about a group called Bone Thugs and Harmony? And I'm just like, why am I getting this text right now? And so I was like, what? And so like, and Trace was like, I don't like, what's the deal with that? I was like, hold on. So I forget what song I played for him, first of the month or something, I was like, anyway, this is Bone Thugs and Harmony. I was like, they're big. And, but I replied, I'm like, yeah, like, why? And didn't hear anything back. Probably because everybody was on shrooms. But, but apparently they became super, like, that. Yeah, she didn't have Lazy Bone's number or anything like that. But she was like, oh, this is a song that he showed me. And he's like, he's really proud of this one. And, but I guess, when they talk, he's like, you're just such positive energy. I really feel connected. And so Lazy Bone and relative became very good friends.
That's
so
cool.
I was kind of hoping she did have a number, I texted him like, hey, by the way, I'm seeing your dog this weekend, I was hoping she'd be like, oh, let me holler at Lazy, get you backstage. Like, okay. But ends up it wasn't like that. But it was a good show. It was at Dirty Heads. Like I saw them a few years ago with 311, and I feel like they were only like a 4 or 5 piece or whatever back then. But they've added they've got a drummer and they got this percussionist. In addition to there's a full kit. Then there's a guy that will go from bongos to he's got a mini kit that's stand up.
Nice.
And then he's got handheld stuff. But it's this sort of. I think there was another drummer because I kind of had my view blocked, but it looked like there was a full kit up that kind of stayed over there. But this dude, the transitions were so smooth. And then they got horn players and stuff now. So now they're an 8-9 piece band or something up there.
Nice.
And it's an old, I don't even know any of their names, but there's a guy that's always got his shirt off with his long hair looking like Jay and Silent Bob looking like Jay. But it came out there and it was just like, it's like, oh, making some money. You got yourself a personal trainer now. But anyway, that was a great show. That's one reason for the late record. Or that is the reason for the late recording today. What about you? What have you been up to?
Well, we're just kind of, Emma every day does something new. Now she's putting words together.
Ooh.
So, yeah, hi, Daddy.
That's
she says it to me, and I'm just like, I just melt.
How old is she?
She will be 2 in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. And I find it's 2.5 to 3 is the actual terribles. Not the 2s.
We're already there.
Oh, well, she's advanced. Yeah, well, that'll be fun. I wait for the first time. I remember one time I was punishing the kid. It's before he went to an actual preschool. There's this teacher who she was kindergarten or something like that, but she got pregnant and had a kid, and so she ran daycare out of her home as a kind of a way to make money, but also stay home with the kid. It was great, and so Maggie was sending her kid there, and so but she did have the timeout step, and so she told me one day she's like, well, Trace had to go to the timeout step. She's like, but and he cried, but the good news about that is he knew he's being punished, and so that's good. And it's well, that's actually, yeah, that's a good point, yeah, because you're not beating the kid, he's just sitting down on the step from the kitchen into this other room, So after that, I was like, well, I got stairs, that's timeout stairs, And so one time, I don't even remember what it was about, but he was on a timeout stair, and he was still young, so I had a speech impediment, and so he's like, I don't whoop you. I was like, oh. And even though I was just like, all right, shut up, kid. You have 120 seconds to sit here, Part of it was just ah.
Yep.
Yep. Well, I don't know. There's, actually, the wildfires in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
That, I don't have a lot to say on it, but that is a crazy thing. It's the deadliest wildfire ever, I think, at this point. I guess because it's an island.
80% of the island, I think, burned.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do we know how that started? Do you know?
I'm assuming it's just because of there's always an active flow on Maui.
Is that it?
Yeah, they build the roads over ditches that they've designed to direct the lava underneath.
Have you been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I went to Maui as a teenager, but mostly I've been to Kauai twice.
Oh, yeah?
Kauai, highly recommend Kauai.
So you've been out there 3 times?
Quieter island. Twice, no. So.
Oh, one time you went to
both 2 islands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's still awesome. We were gonna we went to Jamaica. We were gonna do Hawaii. It was very expensive to get out there. Very expensive to stay. So we were yeah, I still want to do it. We're gonna do it someday.
But I remember driving on the roads in Hawaii with my parents, and all of a sudden this glow would come out from the sides of the windows, and you look out, and it's just a lava flow going underneath the road.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Terrifying, but awesome.
Right. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they have live flows constantly.
That would make sense other than...
And if they haven't gotten any rain, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm just talking my butt. But, we just go on those things where it's well, they've created a system for managing the lava flows. So how would that cause a wildfire all of a sudden? But I don't know. Maybe they're having a drier season or something. But it is. I haven't even looked into it. I just saw how many 90 people were dead or whatever, and that's a lot of people. Wildfire, California, they have the big wildfires, and that would be terrifying. Approaching your house and all that. You go, we gotta go. My house might burn down, and that's horrible and terrifying and all that. But if you're on an island, it has to stop somewhere. or you're in the ocean.
Right.
Yeah, and in them oceans be sharks.
Yeah, I know Jeff Bezos donated $100 million already,
I saw that.
but I'm pretty sure it's because of his own estate that is
Oh.
on the island.
Oh, of course. I mean,
That he
come on.
spent $70 million on
Did he?
14 acres. He's got his own bay.
Wow.
Yeah, 70 million.
70 million for 14 acres.
Yeah, and they put like a traditional Polynesian
Oh,
estate or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, he spent $70 million. I think just the property.
I believe that. The picture I saw when it was like, because his wife issued the statement. Of course, the picture I saw, because, remember he divorced his wife because he was getting freaky with the girl next door. Picture this, they were both buck naked banging on the bathroom floor. But the picture they showed, it was just like, it's him looking like him. And then the wife was just like, or the future wife, fiance, it was just like, boobs front. It's just like, that's right. This is why he was like, I'll give up half my fortune. He's like, I want some of this. But no, he did. It's good they donated. But there's other groups on the ground too. It's I don't know. It's wild. You don't think of islands just catching on fire like that. It's weird. I know everyone's gonna say global warming, and it is hot. It is hot. It's a hot year. But much like, the thing is when we were talking about like climate change, but when we used to talk about global warming, people were like, oh, it's the hottest year on record. And then the next year would be like the coldest year on record. Right. And they go, well, you can't talk about the wet. Because like every time Al Gore would go to talk someplace, like there'd be a snowstorm that would hit and it'd get canceled. And they go, well, that's weather. That's not climate. That doesn't count. And it's like, okay. But then they go, 1 year, it counts. And they go, well, should we see what next year or the trends or anything? Go, no. And it's like, and also, I don't know. I feel like we're at the end of an ice age, and we're eking out of this ice age. And like, I mean, obviously we got to take care of the environment, and like, I get all hippy dippy with doing nice things. I pick up trash and all this kind of crud, But like, my problem with the whole global warming, climate change thing is the answer is always totalitarian control. That can't be the answer. There's the kid that's cleaning up I call him a kid. I mean, he's in his 20s. But, the guy who cleaned up the Pacific garbage patch. And then he identified that's like, oh, there's like 10 main rivers that contribute the most to this whole thing, most out of Asia. So he's like, why don't I develop technology to clean those rivers? And what I love about the guy is he goes, no, people shouldn't stop flying airplanes. We shouldn't say you can't do this, can't do this. What we should recognize is what people want to go to airplanes. They want to do this. So maybe we try to figure out how to make airplanes better. It's like, yes.
Logic.
Yes. Let's make air travel better. Not ban it. Just make it better. Cars, you can make them better. You don't have to do it in a crazy way. You don't have to force us to get electric vehicles. I think hydrogen's going to be great. But that's, I mean, he's tackling it. I mean, he's doing more than anybody else, and he doesn't even disparage the areas, because he's like, well, these developing nations, they don't even have a sanitation system. They went from all their trash being like meat and vegetables. They go, oh, just throw it in the river. You just throw it in the river. But now it's like boxes and plastic, and they go, I don't know, your trash goes in the river. That's where trash goes. It's always gone in the river. That's the system. And it's like, so his whole thing is like, let's just clean up the river. And then try to, like, from there, educate and build a sanitation system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing I notice is that, well, the world wants to blame certain countries, i.e. the United States. Meanwhile, a video pops up from a year ago. I believe it was Iraq burning tires.
Oh, God.
40 million tires. And it's like, are we the problem?
We're not. We're not. Like, we're huge. And, like, our carbon output a couple of years ago was, like, lowest since the 80s. It's just like, we actually care. Really, all manufacturing. The reason that we buy all of our crap from China is because China does not care. They don't care. They don't care. And so, like, if their citizens, die of lead poisoning, who cares? No one cares. No one cares. So, slave labor, let them die, get that dollar. We can't do that in America because you'll be sued and you'll probably go to prison if you take that attitude. So, it's more expensive to make a lot of things here because of federal regulation. But everything would be cleaner if it was done here. All of it.
Yep.
Outside of people who are just doing great technological things. But no, we're not the problem. And that's all these like Paris Accords and stuff people sign on for, and people get in trouble for pulling out of. We'll just be like, well, we want to agree to do this by this year. And so you look at it from America's perspective, you go, that means cutting our output by 60% in 5 years. That sounds like it would be a horrible thing for our economy and all of our people. And then for you, China or whoever, it's like, it seems you don't have to cut anything. Or you cut a little bit, or you just have to lie and go, I promise. And so it's just like, no, this is all stupid. Like, the solution is not totalitarian control, and it's not forcing everyone into poverty. Like, a little bit of time, technological advancements, like the guy cleaning up the garbage patch, like,
or somebody just seeking money will be like, how can I capitalize on this pollution problem?
Yeah.
Okay, let me make something that works, and then I'll get rich.
Well, my dad, so like my dad, what he would do with like wastewater streams is you take like a DuPont or somebody that has this wastewater stream, and because it's toxic, you got to pay to dump it at so many dollars a gallon. So he'd come in and be like, hey, why don't we filter it through, create a sludge, and then, your water, you can pour down the drain, totally clean, 7 pH, like you can drink it. It's fine. And so then you can you dump the sludge and you pay less per gallon, and it's, it's a kind
Smart.
of, yeah, well, it did him well. But the other thing he would do sometimes is he'd go, all right, so there's heavy metals in some process, right? Like whatever that is. And so he's like, all right, well, what we'll do is we'll create a sludge, and also we'll filter out the heavy metals, and we'll sell it back to you so you can use them again. So, it's just like, use it all over again. Here's the valuable bit that you couldn't help but flush, but now you can use it again. And you can, like, I'm wondering with, the little carbon sweepers and stuff like that people have been talking about trying to implement, where you make them look like trees and they collect carbon out of the atmosphere. Like, I don't know what the market is for carbon, but maybe there's a market for it. Maybe if you collect enough, you can, I don't know what.
There's people making pens out of exhaust fumes. Like pen ink from exhaust fumes.
Really?
That's cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like, I don't get that. Whatever, sounds good.
Yeah,
let's do that. And that the plastic or the Pacific Island or Pacific garbage patch. That's what they're doing with the plastic is they melt it all down. They make trinkets and doodads. I forget, bracelets or whatever. But they're trying to figure out a product that would be something that people don't just throw away to interact.
Yeah.
But I think that's great because we got all these raw materials for free. Let's make something. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. We've solved everything, I'm pretty confident. So, I am Frank. This is Loaded Talk. Like us, subscribe, please, on the YouTubes, the Rumbles, the things where you listen to us. You know where you listen to us. Hit buttons there. Make it better for us. Until next week, Charlie?
I had something to say, and then I lost it.
Good advice. All right, well, we'll see you.